And my dogs are going crazy. Fry! That's what I go through. Fry! Gotta fire. It's time for Clone War. What's going on, guys? My name is Neeb. Welcome back to AROMATIX. Today we're doing a God of Fire Clone War, but it's a little different because you guys might be watching me right now on the live stream. Say hello to Kevin Cruz, Greg B, Daniel Londi. There's also David Pirani. So if you're not watching me on this live stream, a lot of these videos I will be doing just like this, where you could literally watch me and talk at the same time. I think this will be fun. Akael, Charles, Question, Handicap Mexican, Mike H, Nordex, and BMC, Zane as well, of course. Nathan Lichtenberg, shout outs to all of you guys. I love you guys. Nabil and Fernando. So today, let's go ahead and get started. If you're interested in videos like this, and more specifically, the live stream, then you can probably find it. If not here, then it's gonna be on Neebs_life here on YouTube as well. Lifestyle channel and behind the scenes just like this. So, God of Fire, a $200+ fragrance. Don't quote me for it, I don't even freaking remember because I bought so many dupes that I've probably put myself in like $1,000 hole as of now. So I've spent over $1,000 on this fragrance. I'm mangoed the out. This has mango soda vibes with a dry down of mango cream. It kind of reminds me of like a mango soda, as I've said numerous times, along with mango lassi. There is the note of oud in this one in the dry down, but don't let it fool you. If you're not into that stanky oud or woods, you're not really gonna sense much of it in this fragrance. It smells high quality, the performance is ass, and the price tag is really high. Simple as that. Let's move on into the official Clone War, and obviously, like starting every single one with the most detached. Today's a little different. I usually don't go more than about 5 fragrances, but God of Fire has become so much hype and talk around that it's just like, you know what, it, dude, let's talk about all of them and let's just go in. First one is gonna be Ophidian Mango Bliss by Paris Corner. I love the bottle, and you can clearly see the inspiration, the whole snake, and I'm not really sure what this top is. It might be the rattle of a cobra or something like that, not sure. The fragrance in itself opens up very reminiscent, obviously, to the mango or the God of Fire, but there are a significant amount of differences. I'll give it credit where it's due because this was one of the first inspos that came out for God of Fire. But the main difference for this one is that it seems like it's actually giving you an accord of oud. So its downsides might not necessarily be the worst thing in the world, especially if you want that touch of oud. So its downside being simply that. It smells like you took God of Fire and truly put a note of oud or incense. And that in itself takes it away from the DNA quite significantly. The performance though, this shit lasts all day, and it's because of that density coming from the incense and some of that oudi bahuri vibe. So if you want something with a truer take on the oud, then check out Mango Bliss. But how close is this one? If I had to quantify it by a percentage, I would say no more than 70%. In the beginning, it's very promising, but just wait for the dry down. And I started to question whether or not, like, did I burn incense or something? So one man's trash might be another man's treasure. And this is far from trash. It's just not the closest thing. Moving on. All right, recapping with you guys. How you guys doing? Hey, God bless you. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Kuwait, hella. Have you tried anything from them? Looking at Cafe and Vetiver, who? Oh, no, bro, I have not. Sorry, bro, I wish I could give you an answer. Moving on into the next one where it is trash, just straight up, and mostly because of its performance. The scent profile also gets credit because it was one of the first. Yes, it has an effervescence, it does smell carbonated, but it also smells cheap as shit. This is called Spectre Malikite. And it's only after we got so many better ones, it's almost like, yeah, you take it for granted now, bitch. Yeah, pretty much. Honestly, that's the case, because when it first came out, it was like, oh shit, this is good. And it is, it still is. But the performance, you guys, it's no more than like 2 hours and then it's gone. And nowadays, considering all these next inspos, you're definitely gonna wanna wait for the next one. So I don't wanna waste any more time on this one. It's not bad. If it's all you have, grab it. It's still pretty good, but the performance, you guys know me. If it doesn't perform, it's not a fragrance, because what did you even spray? You can't smell it, dude. You're wearing a fragrance? Cool story. I can't fucking smell you, basically. Moving on. This one is called Kuhl Luminous by Arabiyat Prestige. And although it might not be the winner, this is my favorite one. And there's a very specific reason. After wearing almost 2 weeks of the same fragrance, you get sick of it, man. You really do. Especially in a world of testing fragrances every day. A lot of these I've purchased, and yeah, some of these I might have gotten, but it doesn't change the fact that it always remains true. This one, like I said, One of my favorite inspos, and mainly because of how smooth it is. This fragrance, it seems to have a more creamy and ambery dry down. Also, the longevity and potency is greater. And this is actually a confirmed difference in this in comparison to God of Fire. They toned up the ambers, they toned up the vanilla, and they packaged it into this. The concentration is also increased from the original DNA as well. And not to mention the atomizer on this is as smooth as the fragrance scent profile. So you would wonder, I personally would have thought that like, okay, a smoother fragrance, more ambers and vanillas means you lose that crisp effervescence, but this one retains that, and it's one of the longest lasting ones. And with that being said, by default, it's not going to be the closest. So how close is this really? Surprisingly, still pretty damn close. I wouldn't say more than 80%. But like I said, for me personally, I loved everything about this fragrance, and it did give me a long ass lasting fragrance that smelled refined, that smelled high quality, simple as that. That's what's up, man. It's always authentic, it's always genuine, straight from the heart. Never scripted, alhamdulillah. India, I love Indian people, man. Some of the most hospitable, kindest, genuine people are from India. Moving on. Next one is from Riffs. It's called Rose de Soleil. I have no idea why they put rose in the name because this is all about mango. So what the f were you thinking, Riffs? I don't know, but you did create a pretty damn good fragrance. The atomizer on this is next level, and if you're a sucker for that, I really don't care. But moving on into the fragrance scent profile itself. The main difference between this Rose de Soleil and the God of Fire is gonna be the fact that it seems to have a bit more citruses and resulting in a couple of pros, but cons. If you're looking for the closest, it's not it. But if you're looking for one of the better projecting ones, it absolutely is. And it's because of that increased citrus. Also, judging from the scent or just what I could personally pick up in my experience, I can tell that this one's dosed up pretty high in ambroxan for the purpose of projection. So yes, it's gonna project and you're gonna smell the God of Fire DNA, but it's lacking that depth and richness, the lossy vibe. Remember how I separated the scent profile into a mango soda and then drying down into mango cream? This one really captures the mango soda, adding a bit more citrus and then not so much the mango cream. But what you end up with is a moderately performing fragrance with a pretty above average projection. Definitely beating this in terms of projection and even longevity, but not really the closest. Another one that I would personally say for the right price is great. Aside from that, it wouldn't be anything more than 80 to 83% at freaking best. But Riffs, they still released a pretty good, damn good fragrance, and this cap just wouldn't sit on it. Why would you even sit on things? Is that? All right, buckle in because these last four have gotten so much glaze that I can feel the spit dripping on their sacks. That's how much glaze these have gotten. And I'm guilty for one of these. Before you go into the comments and say, okay, French Avenue boy, there's some objective truth that I'm gonna give you with facts. Okay, nothing more and nothing less. This episode and this series is 100% my child, my baby that's not for sale, will never be. So let's hold their asses accountable. Let's keep it moving. Next one, debated as the best clone of God of Fire. You all know and love Lataful, but is this the best clone? You already know it's not because it just came up and I said there's four more, right? So Lataful's Opulent Dubai has been glazed mostly on TikTok as the best inspo, but it's honest to God not. And I'll just keep it short and simple. Well, that's a lie because I'm gonna tell you guys a little backstory. You need to know. So initially when Lataful started, they came out with these fragrances in different colors of bottles. The blue, the black, no, the blue, the red, and the white. And they all smelled pretty f***ing cheap. But for the price, they were amazing. I even bought the white one. It smelled like Baccarat Rouge. There was the red one or whatever it was, smelled like incense. It was okay. It wasn't bad. For the price, around 20 bucks, you can't complain, bro. Get over it. It smells good. But when I initially saw this, I felt like there might have been initial bias, right? I saw another bottle just like this of experiences that I didn't really enjoy. I put that aside, or tried to at least, and then I sprayed it on. And right from the top, it was obvious that it's God of Fire and a pretty damn good one. But it was also obvious that there had some subtle differences that would keep this away from being the best. And a couple of them, and making it very simple, is going to be the inclusion of something more acidic. There's more of like the citrus lime rind. And then also going to be the musky nature of this fragrance. It is dosed up a lot in ambroxan, and it does create like this fuzzy or foggy scent to the DNA. Also, that lime rind, the way that it smells, it's probably going to be the mango quality, or the quality of the mango note that they use in this one. Because I myself have been working with the note of mango for a couple of my fragrances, and when I use a lower quality mango, initially for testing purposes, or too much mango, you get like this rind smell that's green, but also dirty, almost like rot. And I'm not saying that this one will go that way, but it did when I oversprayed it. So obviously, like many normal people, if you spray it normally, it's actually pretty good. The main difference is going to be that it has more citruses and also the fragrance in itself. With this one, quality can be attributed. Let's take a pause here for a second. Quality, the way that I define it, can be attributed to being able to pick up different nuances and really having a leveled fragrance. A lot of people will segment fragrances into nuanced or also into well-blended. But a lot of times, well-blended is just like a cover-up or a mask for a fragrance that has a lot of fixatives, or maybe its intent was to be well-blended. And with this fragrance, God of Fire in itself, it's nuanced and it's intended to be. And you can quite literally tell all of those transitions, and that's what makes a niche fragrance really enjoyable, all of the phases that you'll go through. And with this fragrance, Opulent Dubai, you kind of lose that. And what you end up with is a blended fragrance, a well-blended fragrance. But that in itself, in theory, kind of takes away the niche aspect or the quality aspect that you get with this, not only with the original God of Fire, but also with some of the other dupes. So with that being said, is it close? Yes. Is it good? Yes. But you don't want to overspray because then it goes into like this rot territory. Longevity for this fragrance was pretty solid. I didn't get less than 7 to 8 hours considering both wearings of overspraying and normally. But there was definitely more musk and I wasn't getting the same nuances as I was from God of Fire. Simple as that. How close? 85 to 90% at best. I would personally say that it's safe to keep it around 85%. 87.5 for all of you who are probably gonna be, how do you even get that number? Well, look, actually, believe it or not, when you go to factories and they tell you, oh, we'll give you something around Altair, they'll quantify it and they'll tell you it has to be 10% of a difference. So I'll find out and let you know. JK, okay? It's not the best one, it's still a really good one. And once we've reached this realm, these last four, they're all pretty damn good, but they all do also have their differences. This one being, it's a little more citrus and you don't wanna overspray it. If you do both of those and if you're okay with both of those, still a great pickup. Next one. Gonna be, believe it or not, and very surprisingly, Mango Ice by Gulf Orchid. This is a brand that I haven't really been looking at much lately because I remember when they first started, they had a couple of their musk series. And while I love musk fragrances, in fact, one of my favorites are from Ibrahim Al-Qurashi, the Blueberry Musk, I didn't really see much interest in it, especially from my audience here in the West. A musk fragrance, really, it was much more than that. And this brand kind of started from there and I kind of gave it the side eye until a lot of you guys requested this specific brand. And they've been making a lot of noise along with other influencers, so I figured, you know what, let me look up Joma Shop and pick this up and see what this is all about. So right off the bat, with initial impression, the first spray, I honest to God was impressed because a brand that I haven't touched in a long time has placed itself this high on the Clone War list is saying something. So this fragrance opens up with damn near, everything that I know God of Fire to be, except for the ambery nature. But all things considered, it's still closer than something like Opulent Dubai. And that the reason is because of that one difference. Rather than having, a lack of the ambers and then also more citruses, it just lacks the ambers. That's it. Because of that, the performance of this one is gonna be roughly 6 to 7 hours as well. So the performance department, it's still average, and some people would even declare more than 5 hours above average. So that's a check. The quality, it's also another check. And the one downside or difference is going to be the ambers. It's not as rich. And like I said, that separation, it gets the soda and it almost gets the yogurt or the lassi vibe. Simple as that. That's pretty much it. I would classify this as a strong 85 to a 90%. So let's say an 88% strong. Yes, it's definitely close to the rating of Opulent Dubai, but like I said, one difference versus two. You make the choice here. You choose. All right, moving on. Now we're down to the last two. French Avenue Vulcan Flare. I'm just gonna rip it off like a Band-Aid. This is not the closest clone, but it is one of the freaking best for a good reason. The one argument that a lot of people make against this is going to be its price point, but there is a certain objective reality that comes with certain price points. Now, although there's the hack of getting fragrances that are $200 or smelling like for around $50 to $60, but the reality of it is, you guys, that's only possible because of their price margins on these are absolutely ridiculous. And who am I to judge, but it is what it is. And because of that, we're able to get a lot more value at a lesser price. But the reality is also that there's a certain level of you're either spending your money or your time in this life, and there is no shortcuts really. In this realm, fortunately enough, we do have some threshold of shortcut. Well, you'll get close, never exactly the same, but it's worth the compromise in this case. So with that being said, yes, this is more expensive than some of these, but it's objectively better too. And I'm not just talking about my opinion, but I'm also talking about my experience in the backside of things and actually where they get their fragrance oils. From IFF, from Firmenich, from Givaudan, they're known to have one of the largest budgets in the Dubai industry right now, okay? So what does that even mean? It means that if they're using the note of mango, they're using the highest quality in its bracket or price point, and that translates into a little bit more expensive. Now, like I said, yes, there are shortcuts for clones and stuff, and yeah, we have this great, because of their big profit margins, hack, if you will, but still, there is a certain line where it's like, at $30, you can only get so good. And then at $50, you can also get so good. And it increases through time. Sure, maybe if you end up making a dupe for like $100, it'll probably get 95 to almost 100. And number one, might actually be closer to that example, but you're still gonna end up paying. So yes, this one is better. Yes, it lasts longer. This one captures both segments of the fragrance, which is the mango soda and then also the dry down, but it does come with a higher price. Longevity for this one, easily above average. I don't need to say anything else about this. And so help me God, this is the truth, whether or not I do have fragrances with French Avenue, but rather everything I've said is the reason why I've created with French Avenue, okay? They're leading in the industry right now. It is just the objective truth. But back into the other ones, if you're on a budget, they're still pretty damn solid. And that's why this video, I wanted to include a lot more of these fragrances. So moving on to the final and the actual Clone War winner. It is pricier, but like I said, this one will get you the absolute, 90% close, 90 to 95, at best 95. This one is 95% close. This one has been in the game for a long time. And why does that matter? It's because they've established relationships. I'm gonna give you guys a little insight as to the actual industry and relationships with these manufacturers. They've established relationships behind the scenes with these factories before these Dubai brands even started the clones as big as they are now. And so they have managed to sometimes get DNAs of like 100% because it was still taboo, it was still down low, and they were able to use these leveraged relationships, their long-term relationships, to get maybe just 5% closer. And it's quite literally quantified as that. You guys, the technologies they have, GCMS machines and stuff, you'd be surprised, but it's the truth. And this brand is none other than Alexandria Fragrance's Fire of God. This is by far the absolute closest inspo. It has all levels properly in comparison to God of Fire. And I'm telling you guys, like in regards to the difference, the only minute difference is going to be the effervescence and the sparkling vibe. That's it. Even with Vulcan F, it does have enhancements. It's kind of, more sparkling. It's more ambrox and it's more effervescent, but this one's a lot more leveled out. And as you get to the mid to dry down, I virtually can't distinguish the difference between both of these. The only downside to this one is also going to be its price point, price per ml. You're gonna end up spending like $100 or $130 or something for 100 mLs versus some of these, which is like $50. So is it worth the compromise? In all honesty, if you asked me, this video isn't about me personally. I'll give you a couple of my opinions, but I'll tell you the objective reality too. If you ask me, I would say I personally wouldn't pay for a clone that expensive. I'll just go for the f***ing original at that point. But the performance is better. If you ask me, I would consider some of the cheaper alternatives. And then if I really want one of the better ones, I would go for something like Fire of God. Otherwise, you guys, this pretty much sums up the Clone War. Thank you guys so much for watching. And for those of you who are on the live stream, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Love you guys from the bottom of my heart. Let me know down in the comment section which one of these you have, which one sounds most interesting. Believe it or not, there might be somebody in the audience that will want the difference of the most detached or will want something that's the weakest performing. So one man's trash may be another man's treasure. And none of these, in all honesty, are trash, not even a little bit close. So we live in a time where we are fortunate enough to have these DNAs, because I remember a time where I would spray one of these fragrances, Middle Eastern fragrances, and just get straight up alcohol and be like, is it worth it? And I'm talking like, yeah, it was really bad, but we're not in those times. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
A few minutes later.
What up, Doe? How you doing, bro? If I have money for one cheapie, what do you recommend? I don't even know. Do I have fart spray? I don't need to do that, bro. I could just like